Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing another episode of Watch List Wednesday. I am starting a new little film series. In the past, I've done a couple of different random film series for like upcoming movies and upcoming events. Halloween is right around the corner, so I decided I should watch some form of horror franchise. Last year, I watched all of the Scream movies around this time, so I decided I'm going to watch a horror franchise that has around the same amount of movies, and I ended up coming with Final Destination. I feel like Final Destination is a movie franchise that is raved about a lot. A lot of people really like it. I think that there's a twist in the last movie that's really cool that kind of like brings the whole like franchise full circle, and I think that that's really cool, and I really want to know how this movie series goes. So I decided I'm going to be binge watching this for the season of Halloween, and I'm going to be watching it throughout September and October, and then on Halloween I'm going to make a special Halloween video where I rank all 5 of these. But that being said, we're going to go ahead and watch the first one. I have them all on Blu-ray and DVD, so I don't know any streaming services that have them, but fun fact, if you're ever looking for a movie on a streaming service, download the Roku app. You can look it up. You don't even need to have a Roku TV. It'll tell you what streaming service it's on. But yeah, that being said, I'm going to go pop this first one into the Blu-ray player, and we're going to watch it, and I'll come back and give you guys my initial thoughts and reaction.
Watch, oh, it's Watch List Wednesday.
I'll add it to the list.
Okay, I'm not going to lie, really enjoyed that. Right off the bat, a couple of things that I want to point out. This movie has like the perfect runtime. I love movies, right? And I really enjoy going down and sitting down and having a nice movie night, you know, making popcorn, making snacks, really enjoying the feelings of it. But this movie was like perfectly paced. It was an hour and a half, and it was absolutely like the perfect length. And I just got to talk about that because I feel like a lot of horror movies nowadays, they kind of like fail at like building suspense, building tension, building up the characters so that they're people that we're interested in and we actually want to hang out and spend time with them. And then they end up making the movies like 2 hours long. This movie was about 90 minutes, and it was absolutely like the perfect runtime. But right off the bat, they start you off right into the middle of the action. You're getting ready for some trip. You're with the main character. I will say this. I did not do a great job of picking up on the characters' names. I think that the main character's name is like Alex or something like that. And then we have the main love interest, who I cannot remember the name of, the Billy. I remember his name. He's the silly guy with the Letterman jacket at the beginning of the movie. I think the teacher's name is like Miss Lumen or something like that. But other than that, I do not remember a lot of the names of these characters, which I like movies, and I'm like really trying to get better at like working on remembering people's names throughout movies. But like sometimes they'll mention the person's name like one time and then that's it. And I'm like, and then what's it called? This is a movie from the very, very early 2000s, and I wasn't born when this movie came out. So I don't know like any of the actors or actresses that are in this. So I can't say their names either. So throughout this video, if I say like, oh, crazy car drivey dude, it's going to be this guy. That's the person I'm talking about. And then if I say, you know, crazy drivey car dude's love interest, it's this girl. I probably am not going to mention either of them, but I just wanted to say that I don't remember a lot of the names. However, I did want to go ahead and dive right into this video. I really enjoyed that. I like horror movies, and I definitely thought that this was a franchise I would enjoy because I figured it was going to be a little bit similar to the Scream franchise, where like all of the different kills and death sequences in this movie are going to be so like interesting. They're going to do a lot of different things to kind of like switch it up and make things every single death scene needs to feel like just like its very own distinct sequence. It can't feel like rehashed or repetitive or anything like that, and they do a really good job with this. Todd's death scene, the first one that happens after the plane incident or whatever, really, really interesting. I like the way that they set it up, the way that there's so many like, okay, he's currently shoving a sharp object up his nose. That's going to be how he's going to die. And then that's not it. And he nicks himself shaving. And you're like, oh my God, is that going to be it? No. And then you're seeing like this water is like slowly heading towards him. And then he's like quickly unplugging something. And there's shocks everyone. You're like, okay, this is going to be it. And then it's not. And I like the way that they're slowly building the tension towards, okay, something is definitely about to happen. Something really bad is about to happen. What is it going to be? And it keeps you guessing and guessing and guessing until the thing that happens. And then it's just terrifying to watch because, like, he gets caught in the clothesline and then it quickly around his neck and then he falls. And then everything he does to try to, like, make things better just makes it worse. And, oh, my God, that was a graphic scene. That was really rough. That was pretty spooky and scary. I liked that. I thought that was fantastic. I feel like it's weird to say that I like that, but like you want scenes like that. You want a scene that makes you feel uncomfortable. If you're watching a horror movie, you want to feel frightened. That did it. That did a good job. I get why some people say like this is a franchise that makes them scared to do mundane tasks because stuff like that, yeah, that's a little spooky. That's a little scary. But yeah. So overall, thought that death sequence was fantastic. Going to one of the next ones, Miss Newman. Oh man, I just said it. It's Lumen, isn't it? Miss Lumen, the teacher's death sequence. This one to me really bothered me because there are so many things that are happening that like should be a sign like, oh, maybe I should stop doing this thing. And instead she just keeps persisting and persisting and persisting. And like, I understand that she was probably going to die regardless. It's just like, she impacted the way that she ended up dying and inevitably. But like when she tries turning on the stove and it doesn't work, should have gave up. Should have been like, I don't need this tea right now. Something else happens later with the tea. She like spills it or something like that. And she's like, ugh. And then she still is like, I need to have a drink right now. And there's just so many moments like this leading up to her death scene where it's like, you can tell they're trying to do something similar with the Todd death scene that I like just mentioned, but they're just having her do a bunch of ridiculous things that don't make a lot of sense. She's not being very cautious. She's just kind of like being reckless a little bit. And what's it called? Whenever she ends up dying, it kind of feels like 100% her fault. Whereas like Todd's, whatever happened was fully 100% an accident, but like for hers, a lot of it seemed preventable. And this is kind of what I was talking about, where I'm like, each death needs to feel unique and different, and the death is unique, but the way that they set it up felt very similar to Todd's, where it's like, okay, there's this thing that's happening, okay, this could potentially kill her, oh, there's this thing that's happening, oh, this is the thing that could potentially kill her. And then eventually when the thing does kill her, it feels more outlandish and cartoony in a movie that is taking itself very seriously, and it just tonally felt a little off to me. So I wasn't as big of a fan of that one. I do like the fact that they included like a subplot in here where the main guy, like I said, I think his name is Alex. If that's wrong, future me, correct that. But I like the fact that they're kind of making him into like a little bit of like an antagonist here, where it's like there's a subplot where, is he the guy who's doing all these murders? Is he the reason why people are dropping dead? Like, what is happening right now? Is everything okay? Like, what's going on with this guy? He randomly, had a vision and knew, oh my god, the plane was going to explode, and it exploded. And now a lot of other things are happening that kind of leads to like, maybe he's killing these people. And there's a specific line in the movie that I really liked, and I wrote it down. One of the detectives is, interviewing the guy, talking about like, hey, look, nothing that is happening is your fault. Everything is like, okay, like you can't control who lives or who dies. And then he says, I'm pretty sure the exact quote is, no one can control life or death unless you are taking lives or causing death. And that is such a good quote. I don't know who wrote that line of dialogue, but they deserve a raise. That was incredible. I loved that. Literally when he said that, I was like, I gotta write that down. That's awesome. That was a great line of dialogue. But I love that, and I like the fact that after the second death sequence in this movie, it really picks up pace, and it starts like, okay, now this person's dead. Okay, now this person's dead. Now we're down to the final four. The final four meeting up in the middle of the woods. They're understanding that, okay, they're all in danger. Something bad is really happening, and they gotta figure this whole situation out. And they have a very interesting dynamic. I really like it. It reminds me a lot of Scream meets like The Breakfast Club, because in Scream there's like the friend group where it's like a lot of like cool kids, and then like Randy's there and he's kind of like the butt of the joke. It kind of felt like a little bit like, okay, these are the cool kids, and then Alex is the butt of the joke in a sense. But it's really interesting. I like their little dynamic. They're only in like scenes together for like maybe 10 minutes in this movie, but that like final four situation I thought was pretty interesting. I like the way that they're building the dynamics of like, okay, well, if somebody dies and somebody like intervenes and saves that person, then that next person is going to be murdered. And I thought that was interesting. I thought that was really cool. And then something else that I liked about this movie, it felt a lot like the thing that was chasing them, like the death and, oh my god, you're gonna die. It felt a lot like it was a personified version of like survivor's guilt, because it's going from one person to the next person to the next person, and it's only going after people who survived near-death experiences. And I thought that was a really interesting, like, little, like, comparison you can make, or, like, kind of like a... I'm trying to think about the word I'm thinking. It's kind of like a metaphor. You could potentially see it as that. And I don't necessarily know if that's what they're going for, but that's how I saw it, and I thought that was cool. Interpretation. That was the word I was thinking of. It's a way you can interpret that. And I thought that was cool. But yeah, overall, I really liked this movie. I thought that there was definitely a lot to enjoy about it. I think that a lot of the death sequences were interesting, and the way this movie ended, they're explaining the rules or whatever. The three of them think they made it out safe. Everything seems to be fine and everything's okay. And then, what's it called? The main guy kind of realizes, like, I don't think it's over, because if we skipped this person's death and, nobody, like, saved me or whatever, I think I'm still on the chopping block. Like, I think I could die at any given moment. And then, he makes this realization, and then he goes to walk away on his own. And I think that it's kind of, like, implied that he was going to be just, like, selfless and go, like, kill himself or something. But then he doesn't get very far before like near-death experiences start happening to him. And then the guy who is being a dick the majority of the movie comes in and saves him. And then he's like, oh my God, so I saved you. Now what's going to happen? And then the guy's just like, it goes to the next guy on the list. And then we watch as the guy who is a dick the entire movie dies. And I'm almost like, did he intentionally do that? So that him and his love interest are going to be okay? Like, is that what just happened? Or am I like completely like overthinking this? Because I low-key think that the main guy knew, okay, well, in order for me to be safe, somebody needs to sacrifice themselves for me. And I think I could play my cards right and have this guy sacrifice himself for me. And I don't know if that is what happened, but that's kind of how I interpreted it. And I'm like, wow, that's a really sick and twisted ending. However, our two main characters get the happy ending. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was a really kind of fucked up way to end the movie, but at the same time, like, I liked it. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I will say this. I'm probably going to find these movies a lot funnier than other people. Like, a lot of people are probably going to be, like, watching these and be like, oh my God, that's spooky, that's scary. Oh my God, this scene is kind of traumatizing. I find a lot of, like, slasher horror movies like this kind of funny because, like, some of the sequences are so ridiculous that it's like, okay, you gotta laugh at that. And then there's also things where it's just, like, there's a lot of, like, twisted irony in these movies. But yeah. Overall, that was my experience with it. If I had to give this first one a rating, I did not think I liked it as much as the Scream franchise. I think that this was not a really good start to the franchise. I think that there are a couple of sloppy moments here and there. I think that a lot of the stuff with the cops do kind of feel unnecessary at times. Like, it kind of feels like they're just needing to fill in the runtime a little bit more, and they're wanting to build suspense that doesn't necessarily need to be there. But that being said, for the most part, I liked it. I'm going to give this movie a solid 76 out of 100. And that being said, that was going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. If you want to see my review and reaction for the Final Destination 2, stick around. That's going to be my video for next Wednesday. And yeah, I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Pow, pow, pow.